I'm going to show you one big tip that you can use to take your training further. Now, when it comes to progressing training, we're going to progress training in some way that allows us to increase volume. Two of those ways that we can do that is either by increasing the weight that we're shifting over time or increasing the reps that we're doing over time. Both of those things, to progress them, require us to be able to produce force, obviously, because we're shifting weight. However, to produce force, one big factor that comes into play is our stability, how stable we are during that movement, okay? The more stable we are, the more force we can produce. The more force we can produce, the more weight we're going to be able to shift, the more reps we're going to be able to get out. So if we create a more stable environment, that, in a sense, is going to help us in our training performance. So, when it comes to now thinking about stability in terms of exercises, this might have an effect on the exercises that we choose to do and the exercise order. For example, we will be able to create our own stability a lot easier when we're less fatigued, okay? So you might want to have movements where you have to create stability more earlier on in the session. And as the session goes on, as we get more fatigued, you would likely want to then have movements that allow you to be in a stable environment, okay? So the exercises themselves, whether that be because it's the machine or the equipment that is surrounding it, is allowing you to be stable. For example, if we're looking at machines, for example, say we're doing a row, using a chest supported row is going to allow you to be in a more stable environment than if you were doing, say, a cable row without any chest support and you're just, sitting down, okay? And because we're using the chest support, because we're now in a more stable environment, we'll be able to produce a lot more force, okay? So, let's say, we're looking at a session where we're relatively taxed. It would probably make more sense to bring in a chest supported row at that point than just a standard cable row without that chest support. Or using benches is an easy way to create stability, okay? Again, depending on the movement would depend how you use that bench, whether that's you're holding onto it for support if you're doing a row, or for example, if you're doing like a bicep curl, a standing bicep curl versus a seated bicep curl, you're going to be in a more stable position when you're seated and when you have that bench to drive into, and therefore you're probably going to produce more force. So start thinking about how stable you are in the movements and exercise that you're picking, because that is going to have an impact on the force you can produce and therefore the training quality of your sessions.